The Department of Education failed its third audit in a row. Education and the Workforce Committee Chairwoman Virginia Foxx blasted the department in a statement saying that, quote, instead of focusing energy and time on improving operations and student outcomes at every level, the Education Department in the Biden-Harris era has poured its resources into the student loan schemes and fulfilling every whim of the teachers' unions. Here to break it down for us is Ryan Walters. He's the Oklahoma State Superintendent. So, Ryan, I mean, we're joking here, but oh man, 3 audits in a row that the Department of Education has failed. Are we even surprised at this point in time?
I mean, they're using Common Core math, so I mean, they couldn't get the budget right. No, look, I mean, that agency has been such a disaster, and listening to Democrats act like, oh my goodness, President Trump is going to do away with this agency. President Trump is going to do away with this agency, number one. Number two, we went as a country over 200 years without a federal Department of Education. And, we just so happened during that time to create, the greatest country in the history of the world without a Department of Education. We've had one for 40 years. Every educational statistic has gotten worse. You've watched schools go from teaching patriotism, focusing on the basics, preparing kids for a workforce and a high quality of life, to schools that turn kids to hate their countries, reject traditional values, and can't even do the most basic skills. So it's got to go. And no, I'm absolutely sorry. Long answer to the question. Not surprised at all that they failed their audit.
Okay, so here's a big question. This agency arises, right? And it's really just a glint in the eye. It's a baby, if that. And Ronald Reagan is running, campaigning on the idea that he's going to get rid of it. And Ronald Reagan, 2 terms, puts Bill Bennett in there. A lot of conservatives will remember him. Book of Virtues, right? Smart guy. The Department of Education is still around. And on top of all that, we're privileged to have someone here whose name has been circulating lately when it comes to taking over the Department of Education. So let's imagine that happens. How would you actually get rid of it?
So first you take a blowtorch. I mean,
I've seen the building. It's ugly as sin. I mean,
it's got to go. It's got to go. But look, so here's some of the practical steps you can take. And look, President Trump's been crystal clear. The agency's going away and power's returning to the states. And then frankly, states should do like what we do in Oklahoma, which is we give as much power to families as possible. Families should be determining the outcome, the education of their children. They should be able to decide school choice, so the school that they attend, but also curriculum. How is money being spent inside of school? All of these accountability and transparency measures start with the parent. But the biggest thing here that you see so often with the Department of Education is you get people that get in there and they want to reform it and they want to bring but we'll bring in our people and the agency has to go. And President Trump has said, when we send it back to the states, what does that mean? Well, that can mean several different things. But number one, someone needs to come in there with an absolute a chainsaw and say, listen, first of all, we need to slash everything that we can immediately, day one. We need to close this thing down. Then go to Congress and go, guess what? We haven't been doing anything. We shut an operation down, and guess what? It didn't have any negative impact on schools whatsoever. As a matter of fact, the schools are saying, hey, thank you. Thank you for not coming in like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did in the middle of last summer and say, hey, states, you're going to put boys and girls bathrooms, boys and girls sports, or we are going to jerk money from you and hold you legally liable for violating a Title IX here. Absurd, but that's the kind of threats we see all the time from the Department of Education.
Okay. So I mean, that sounds fantastic to me. I'm 100%, let's go. On the other hand, I can see a temptation or maybe even a logical way in which you say, look, let's, on the way out, even as we phase this out, can we use rewarding and punishing powers for good to help set right policy when it comes to the education establishment in this country? And, some people deserve to be punished. They deserve to, can we use the power of the federal government maybe for some things that would be good, like, for instance, civic education or something like that on the way out? Or how do you think about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you absolutely do both. And here's one of the things that President Trump has vowed to do, and that is universal school choice across all 50 states. We've got to get national school choice legislation done. President Trump says, hey, that's at the top of the agenda for education. That means red state, blue state, doesn't matter. You as a parent, God gave your children to you, not to a bureaucrat, not to a government school, to you. You allow, it doesn't matter where you are, blue city, blue state, you get to take your child where you want. It's unbelievable the impact that would make for the country. So that's number one. Number two, yeah, we've got to say, we're unapologetic about this. We want patriots in our schools. We don't want you to hate your country. As a matter of fact, we're on the other end of the spectrum. We want you to love your country. We want you to understand what made our country great, and we want you to be a part of that. And then lastly, the thing that we've got to do is this nonsense of allowing the Chinese communists to come in and push curriculum in our schools. We've outlawed that in Oklahoma. We found a school doing that in Oklahoma. I came in, outlawed that in Oklahoma. That's got to be nationwide. You can't allow, I can't believe we got to say this out loud, right? But you can't allow your biggest foreign adversary to come in and literally say, well, we're going to teach your kids that America is the bad guy. We got it wrong. America is the bad guy. We're actually the good guys. We just get a bad rap for it. That can never happen again. So yes, we have to come in for the sake of national security. And frankly, you look at national security, what do you think is going to happen to this civilization if we teach our kids to hate this country and its values? We know what happens because we can study history. We won't be that civilization any longer. So we have to protect the future of America by ensuring that our kids understand American values.
We already let them come in and buy our land and sneak on our military bases. So teaching our kids is just the next thing in line. But I've seen you compare Donald Trump to Winston Churchill. I would love for you to go into that right now.
So I'm a huge Churchill fan, and I'm a huge President Trump fan. And what you see here is, someone, if you go and you read Churchill, there was a time where he stood alone, right? He was warning about a Nazi threat that people said, it's not that bad, is it? Surely that's not an issue that will come here to Great Britain, right? Like, surely appeasement works, right? Like, let's just... President Trump came out and, sounded the alarm, and you had people that go, we don't like the way he says this, don't like the way that he said that. And he looked at that and said, this is an existential threat to America. If we lose this battle with radical statists that believe that leftist Marxism is where the country has to go, there's no country anymore. He has been unapologetic about it. I love it. I love even when he does like his Christmas tweets and goes, hey, even you radical Marxists, it's like he's always reminding you, like, guys, this is real. This is a real threat to the future of the country. He stood alone for an amount of time, was the standard bearer of the future of what this country can be. And then guess what? When the country needed him, Americans turned to him, just like Great Britain turned to Winston Churchill when they needed him, when the threat was on the doorstep. When the threat was on the doorstep in this election, and you saw the left just go completely unhinged, Americans of all backgrounds, across all battleground states, and my state, every single county went for President Trump. You saw this resonating belief that President Trump was the man made for a time such as this. And I see a lot of parallels there with Winston Churchill.
It's so great to hear you say this. One of the things that, 3 lifetimes ago when I was in higher education was the fact that would make me so angry is how many people just didn't understand the depth of the problem. And what I appreciate about what we've seen from you, in the last few years is you would directly address the actual depth of the problem, and no one is willing to do that because for so long, right on the right, the idea was, well, we have to, reform this and reform that, and we'll just, and it's like, you don't understand, like, this thing has rotted to the core, right? Isn't that how you feel about the Department of Ed at this point? It's like, you can't, there's only so much you can do around the edges.
That's 1,000% right. And I feel like so many times this is where Republicans have gotten things wrong. You win an election, you get in charge, and then what do? You got this, energy. I'm going to go kind of modify this, and I'm going to slightly change this, and everyone goes, so I just went out and fought for you to win this election against this radical left-wing individual, and then you're going to come in here and you're just going to play around the edges? Well, I'm not excited about that. And as a matter of fact, when you run for re-election and your party runs for re-election, I'm not as excited as I was. And then you see turnout, and then you see all these issues. What we've seen under President Trump is something that, again, I'm an old basketball coach too, and I like to play offense, okay? I like to be aggressive because you know what? When you're aggressive, good things happen when you've got a good game plan and you move on it. And I see President Trump here, especially in this second term. You want to talk about hitting the ground running. Look at these appointees he's rolling out. Every day I'm going, wow, just when I didn't think I could get more excited about what this next term looks like, here's another one. And the game plan that's hitting the ground of no. And again, education obviously is my passion, and to listen to the president just go, no, we're not reforming the Department of Education. It's gone. It is crystal clear of the vision. And then again, to be such a champion of school choice and go, listen, I got it. Red states, we're doing a great job. Hopefully this happens in Texas, this legislative session. But no, I need it for every kid. We've got to unlock God-given potential across the country. I just think he is absolutely playing offense, and I absolutely love to see it.
Ryan, our last thing before we let you go, we've had you on the show before about bringing Bibles back into schools. I know that you guys have purchased 500 Bibles for Oklahoma public schools. So give us the update. Where does it stand now?
Oh, I got a really great update for you. We're passing them out tomorrow. So actually, it is like we literally have them physically. So I'm really on cloud nine right now. And look, it's so funny to watch the left just lose it over this. And I've tried to walk them through it. Look, you can be offended. You cannot like the Bible. You cannot like Christianity. But listen, you can't rewrite our history. Obviously, the Bible played an incredibly large role in American history. It's the most read book in American history, the most purchased book. And you just talk about how nonsensical education's been. How in the world have we taught kids about why the Pilgrims came to America when the left wouldn't allow you to mention the Bible or Christianity? Like, it doesn't even make sense. So we're bringing the Bible back. We're very excited to be the first state in the country to bring the Bible back to the classroom. Our kids are going to understand the role that Christianity played in American history, and we are not going to back down on this issue. I believe it is absolutely fundamental that if we're going to be this great country and continue to be this great country, our kids have to understand what made America great in the first place. And it is obvious that the left has hijacked our history. We're going to get it back on track, and it starts with understanding the founding, and the Bible played an incredible role in our nation's history.
Well, it sounds like the Secretary of Education to me. I know it's not going to be around for long, but if you have an endorsement, if you're listening, Donald Trump, Ryan Walters, thanks so much.